Good evening. Welcome to Council meeting 12th of February 2024. Item 1.2, attendance. Apologies, please, Ms Gillies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening we have apologies from Councillor Garrard, Councillor Long and Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you. Item 1.3, acknowledgement of traditional custodians of land. Those in the chamber may stand for this item. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pay respect to their elders past and present. We recognise and respect their continuing connections to climate, culture, country and waters. And we also pay our respect and acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders present here today in acknowledging their journey. Item 1.4, offering of prayer, reflection or affirmation. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer, reflection or affirmation this evening will be offered by Ros Blades AM from the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network. She's unable to be in the chambers this evening to read it out, so Councillor O'Reilly will be reading that for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Please stand.
We pray for all of those who are here this evening. Although differences in thought and belief may divide us, let us pursue the love of truth. Strengthen the spirit of friendship amongst people of all faiths and increase mutual understanding between us all. We look to a time when greater knowledge shall bind all who serve, and your word shall bind us all into the one holy fellowship. Let us work together to be gentle and the strength to be forgiving, the patience to be understanding, and the endurance to accept the consequences of holding to what we believe to be right. May we put our trust in the power of good and the power of love to overcome hatred. Let us believe in a world emancipated from violence, where fear shall no longer lead to injustice. Let us look to a time when greater knowledge shall bind us all into one fellowship. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Item 1.5, confirmation of minutes of previous meetings. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Councillor Lim. Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Tan. Sorry, are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Item 1.6, disclosures of interest. Ms Gillies, please.
None received. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Item 2, Officers' Reports, Part 1, 2.1, Documents for Sealing. 2.1.1, Documents for Sealing. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Trong. Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Yes, you want to make a comment?
I just want to congratulate Ha Farm, so corporate service development, for 30 years of service to the Greater Dandenong. It's a long milestone, so congratulations. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Tan. Yes, that's a long time. Good on her. Thank you. Item 2.2, documents for tabling. 2.2.1, documents for tabling. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Mehmeti. Seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Item 2.3, petitions and joint letters. 2.3.1, petitions and joint letters. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Mehmeti, and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Trong. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Item 2.4, Statutory Planning Applications. 2.4.1, Town Planning Application Number 4/2-6, Yanis Court, Springvale. Planning Application Number PLN 23/0495. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Dark. And a seconder? Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Item 3, public question time. Ms Gillies, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For our first 3 questions tonight, I'd like to invite Mr Philip Lamaro forward, who's indicated he would like to ask his questions directly. Welcome, Philip.
On the 5th and 6th of February, Dandenong Council and the EPA received multiple complaints from residents concerned about odours coming from South Dandenong Industrial Area. I was one of these that wrote an email to the Mayor and Councillor Mehmeti about this. In an email response by Jamie Thorley, Manager Building and Compliance Services of the Dandenong Council, they advised that after receiving multiple complaints from concerned residents that they have not triggered a response from the EPA or Council. In receiving multiple complaints from concerned residents and the EPA and the Council who would not trigger the raised issue, can I please ask, can Council clearly clarify what would trigger the EPA or the Council to investigate these?
Thank you, Mr Lamaro. I'll ask Mr Manivasa Gassim to respond, please.
Thank you for your question. Council is aware of complaints received by residents with regards to odour emissions from the Dandenong Industrial Precinct.
Yep.
When complaints are received regarding odour or dust emissions, Council compliance officers are regularly deployed to identify the source. Council works closely with the EPA to detect and identify industry with the higher odour emissions. In October 2023, EPA Applied Science Division completed a series of particle monitoring tests in the Dandenong South Precinct using specialized vehicles. Whilst there is no specific trigger for Council and the EPA to regularly monitor sites, the Council and EPA regularly work closely to monitor these sites for the benefit of the community.
Yep. So just to clarify, you received multiple complaints from residents and that didn't trigger a response from Council. Just to clarify that. Yes or no?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, it didn't trigger. Okay. Grey Dandenong Council participated for the 3rd time in the LGBT Pride March the other week. This is the 3rd time that the Mayor or any of the councillors attended this. All councillors and Mayor declined the invitation for the 3rd time in a row. These repeated declined attendance showing that the Grey Dandenong Council is not supporting the LGBT community like other council supports, like other people that council support. So as a result, as councillors are not showing their support for the LGBT community, I would like to know what is the current status of the LGBT Advisory Board, and will residents be able to see the proposal before voted to councillors?
Thanks, Mr Lamaro. We'll get Mr Forster to respond, please. There you are. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr Lamaro, for your question. Just want to confirm too that the Pride March this year also took place at the same time as our Lunar New Year festival, so that influenced the availability of.
This is the third year in a row, and not one single councillor attended.
Sorry, Mr Lamaro, this isn't part of your question, so if that's going to be your question, I'll have to take out the following question that you have. So Mr Forster is trying to give you, excuse me, please. Mr Forster is trying to answer the question for you, so please let him finish before you ask for clarification. Thank you.
As previously updated in December of 2023, council officers have been liaising with other council and stakeholders to establish an LGBTIQA+ network for the southeast region of the metropolitan area of Melbourne. These discussions have now progressed to the first Pride in the Southeast Alliance meeting, which is to take place on Monday the 18th of March. Council is looking forward to the important conversations that will come out of these meetings in terms of how best council can support the LGBTIQA+ communities and continue to raise awareness whilst collaborating with other councils within this region. Discussions regarding the formation of a participatory LGBTIQA+ body will be a priority for Greater Dandenong City Council in the Pride of the Southeast Alliance meetings to take place. Once clear options have been identified, Council will look at a variety of ways to engage further with the community.
Yep, my third question.
Thanks, Mr. Forster.
Thank you. Dandenong Council has been informed for months that the Dandenong Oasis Pool has refused service to multiple residents due to them being non-binary and transgender. This goes against Greater Dandenong's inclusivity policy. Can Dandenong Council please advise what it has done to ensure this discrimination does not happen again, and will the Mayor and the Council make a public apology to the LGBT community of Greater Dandenong on this discriminative treatment towards them?
Thank you. I'll ask Mr. Forster to respond again.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you again, Philip, for your question. Council takes all allegations of unlawful discrimination very seriously. We have had the opportunity to consider the issues you have raised, including discussions with South East Leisure, who operate Oasis on behalf of Council. Council understands that Dandenong Oasis runs female-only swim lessons on Sunday evenings outside of regular operational hours. These sessions are open to all people who identify as women, regardless of gender identity, sexuality, race or religion. South East Leisure and Council have also reinforced this important message to all staff. Council strives to ensure that every LGBTIQA+ resident and visitor to the City of Greater Dandenong feels safe, respected and welcomed when accessing council-run facilities like our swimming pools, libraries and service centres. Thank you.
Thank you. The question's been answered. Thank you, Mr. Lamaro. What's the clarification? It was quite clear, his response.
As a clarification, as I am a non-gender person, will I be refused service?
Ms. Gillies, could you respond, please?
Thank you.
And that's a further question, but yeah, okay.
Through you,
That's the clarification.
Through you, Madam
Sure.
Mayor. Philip, just to clarify, per the correspondence that we have sent you, Mr. Foster's response tonight, any community members identifying as female are able to access that after-hours program. That's all we've really got to say on the matter.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lamaro. Thanks, Ms. Gillies. Yep, no worries.
I would now like to invite Harpreet Kaur. Harpreet, are you here? No? Okay, I'll read Harpreet's question out on their behalf. It's in relation to the Dandenong Community Hub. When is the consultation for the design of the playground for the Dandenong Community Hub going to start? In the case of Keysborough South Community Hub, there were separate consultation processes for the design of the building and the design of the hub.
Thank you. If Mr. Forster could respond, please. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you, Harpreet, for your question. Council is currently undertaking a series of workshops to further refine the concept design for the Dandenong Community Hub through a co-design process. Should people wish to register at our next workshops, they are scheduled on Tuesday the 20th of February from 11 a.m. to 1 and Thursday the 22nd of February from 6 to 8. This work includes a focus on maximising the available land for the playground, further engagement with the community, including the playground and the various components it may include are expected to be included through the next stage of detailed design.
Thank you, Mr. Forster. Ms. Gillies, please.
Our next question is from Nasera Kifil. Nasera, are you here tonight? No? I'll read that one out also. Also in relation to Dandenong Community Hub. In the proposed design for the hub, it seems only a micro playground, a tenth of the size of ones for Springvale and Keysborough. The playground at Springvale Hub has shown that large playgrounds make a big difference to the success of the community hub. Why are the Dandenong residents being treated differently?
Thank you, Ms Gillies. I'll ask Acting Chief Engineer and Major Projects, Mr Prosotsky, to respond, please. Am I the wrong one? Apologies. Sorry, Mr Foster. I've skipped a page. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Keeping you on your toes.
And thank you, Nasera, for your question. The concept design stage for the Dandenong Community Hub, including its playground, is still being finalised through the co-design process as nominated in the previous question. Council's appointed architects are endeavouring to maximise the land available for the playground as requested by the co-design workshop attendees.
Thank you, Mr Foster. Ms Gillies.
Our next question is from Kiert Van Pol from Noble Park. Kiert, are you here? Would you like to come forward to the microphone? Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi. This is my first time at council
Welcome.
meeting. Can you read what can I read or?
Yeah, either way.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. Yep. I wrote. I wish to express my concern over parking for 5 cars near the intersection of Springvale Road and Queen's Avenue in Springvale. There's only about 5. I think there's about 5 shops there, and they don't have mains water, I think, or sewage connected, but it's just blocking people to drive out into Springvale Road or even to go straight up. I think it's Lightwood Avenue. I'm just wondering if there's, and I know there is a clearway there at some certain times in the afternoon, but I think it's just creates a lot of traffic jams, there. Just wondering if the council considering making that a clearway, or at all times.
Yep.
That's all.
Thank you. We'll ask Mr Prosotsky to respond, please.
Thank you, Keith, and welcome to your first council meeting, and thanks for your question. Currently, this section of road, as you know, is signed as no stopping during the morning and afternoon peak periods to assist with traffic flow at the intersection during these times. At other times, the parking spaces are well occupied and used by customers visiting nearby businesses. While traffic queues can occur out with the peak periods, these are generally caused by pedestrian movements at the intersection and capacity at the signalised intersection, not the lack of available queuing space. Further parking restrictions would significantly increase the number of vehicles able to pass through the intersection, would not significantly increase the number of vehicles able to pass through the intersection during every green light phase. Council officers are monitoring the location and do propose to consult with businesses on full-time parking restrictions at this location due to several community requests. Changes to parking restrictions which affect businesses are made following consultation, and given the minimal anticipated benefit, changes to the restrictions will only occur if the affected businesses have no objection to the proposed changes at this location. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the question. Oh, okay, sure. If we can just get clarifications. Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I tried to provide it in clear English, plain English. It's simple English is we are going to consult with the businesses about introducing full-time no-stopping restrictions. Okay, but only if they support it will it be implemented, because we, as the engineers, do not believe it's actually going to provide significant benefit to queuing or for capacity for that intersection.
And is it only the surrounding shops that you can consult with, or is it the whole of Springvale Central?
Mainly those that will be affected. So those 5 that you identified, plus the businesses on the other side of the road as well. We would not go for the whole activity centre.
Because you can see, I'm sure people from there used to be the railway there. No, that's gone. But to turn right, and even people to turn right from Buckingham. I can't remember what it was. It's just crowded. I mean, it should be just flowing.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yep.
yeah, thank you.
Mr. Poll. Thank you for coming in and asking your question as
Thank
well.
you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
for your time.
Ms Gillies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Isabella, you are there. Would you like to come forward and ask your 3 questions? Isabella Doe from Springvale. Thank you.
Sorry. My first question is, I understand it can take some time for plans to roll out and have noted that the Greater Dandenong Climate Emergency Mobilisation and Engagement Plan has a status of implementation ongoing on the council website. Can you confirm when this will come out for public exhibition?
Thanks, Isabella. We'll just ask Mr Manivasagasim to respond, please.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you for your question. Council officers have drafted the Climate Engagement and Mobilisation Plan and are currently seeking internal approvals for the draft plan. It is anticipated that the community will be informed of the draft plan prior to the end of financial year.
Sorry,
Prior to the end of financial year.
Okay, beautiful.
Thank you.
And my second question is, a revised climate adaptation report was agreed to at a council meeting in December. When will this revision be finalised?
Thank you, Isabella. I'll ask Mr Manivasagasim to respond again. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. Internal discussions are occurring to establish the form and likely content for the proposed climate adaptation document. Once this has been established, Council will be able to provide time frame for the finalising the document.
And lucky last, I've asked these questions because I believe these plans are imperative and require funding. The City of Greater Dandenong cannot afford to underfund climate change any longer, especially when its residents are among the most vulnerable communities facing significant disadvantages. For me, it's extremely disheartening to see that we have less than half the staff and much smaller project budgets compared to other comparable councils. And while I do appreciate the increase in staff, it still doesn't seem sufficient given the importance of these issues and the resources required to effectively manage them. Does the City of Greater Dandenong plan to actually properly and fully fund its current climate emergency action plan and upcoming related plans? Or will there be a repeat of last year where it was publicly admitted that we were languishing behind in achieving the actions that the City of Greater Dandenong committed to in its plan?
Thank you, Isabella. I'll ask Mr Manivasagasim to respond again. Thanks.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Council is highly committed to meeting its climate change obligations and to this extent has some of the leading local government strategies in place and several of which have won industry awards. Council also implemented various actions over the recent times, including utilising net zero electricity, purchasing numerous electric vehicles, and developing a draft climate engagement and mobilisation plan.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Isabella. Good to see you. Ms Gillies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would now like to acknowledge a question from a candidate in the Yarraman by-election. As such, will not read out or address the question in the public gallery, but take the question on notice. A response will be provided to the candidate personally and in the council minutes after the by-election. Under the Local Government Act 2020, no council resources can be used for election purposes. Our next questions tonight are from Sylvia Mastroianni from Dandenong. Firstly, in relation to the Little India redevelopment. What is the current status of the redevelopment of Little India by developer Capital Alliance?
Thanks, Ms Gillies. If we could ask Mr Manivasagasim to respond, please. Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. The planning scheme amendment for the sites 11 to 15 of the Capital Alliance Master Plan, which includes the Little India precinct, has been submitted to the Minister for Planning for consideration, who is the responsible authority for this project. Council officers understand that the Minister's delegates are in the process of finalising the development plan documents. However, we are unable to confirm when the Minister will make the final decision.
Thank you for that.
A second part of that question. On such an important project like the redevelopment of Little India impacting Dandenong residents, what consultation opportunities is our council advocating for the next steps where we actually get into the detail of what is going to be proposed?
Thanks, Ms Gillies. We'll ask Mr Manivasagasan to respond as well. Thanks.
Through you, Mayor. With regards to consultation, the master plan was subject to community engagement in March and October 2022. In terms of more detailed plans, these will form part of the future planning applications. However, as per the planning scheme, which is set by the state government, a planning application for a site where a development plan has been approved cannot be advertised, which would be the case for this instance. Council will continue to work with the state government on this project.
Thank you very much. Ms Gillies.
A further question from Silvio Mastroianni from Dandenong in relation to the municipal strategic statement. When is the long-awaited public consultation on the Greater Dandenong Municipal Strategic Statement going to take place? Residents were told 10 years ago during the development of the C182 planning scheme amendment that there would be a consultation, but this has still not happened.
Thanks, Ms Gillies. We'll ask Mr Manivasagasan to respond, please. Very popular this evening.
Through you, Mayor. As advised at the 13th November 23 Council meeting, Council has been directed by the Department of Transport and Planning not to take any external action on the review of the Municipal Strategic Statement until the planning policy framework has been completed. The planning policy framework is being developed by the Department and Council is still awaiting the completion of this. The form and the content of the planning policy framework will determine what a future municipal strategic statement may look like and what may or may not be able to include it. Once the planning policy framework is gazetted, Council will then develop a project plan, including any consultation based on the knowledge of what parameters it's working within the municipal strategic statement review. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Manivasagasan, and also would like to welcome you as this being your very first council meeting this evening. So thank you very much and welcome on board. So good to have you. Ms Gillies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next questions are from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park. I'll ask the first two together and then pass over to answer them both. Question 1, what is the current hold-up with the new Dandenong Gallery of Art? There seems to have been no progress for months. And secondly, when is the new Dandenong Gallery of Art expected to open?
Thank you. If Mr Przytoczki could respond, please.
Thank you, and through the Mayor. Thank you, Mr Kerwin, for your question. Given the history of this project, there are many elements which are required to be rectified and finalised. Whilst the current works may not be visible to passing public, significant rectification of in-ground works are currently being undertaken. Following completion of these works, a tender will be issued to complete the remaining elements of the project. Once the tender has been issued, we'll be in a better position to identify an expected completion date for the construction works. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Next question, Ms Gillies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next question, also from Matthew Kerwin of Noble Park, is in relation to the Billabong Restoration Project. What is the status of the Billabong Restoration Project at Fotherington Reserve and when is it expected to be completed?
Thank you. Sorry, Mr Przytoczki, that's you as well. Thanks.
Thank you, and through the Mayor. Significant ecological restoration works such as redefining levels and hydrological function, along with revegetation and erosion control, have been completed. The area is now under monitoring and maintenance from our conservation team. The boardwalk has been designed and is currently under construction. Works are scheduled to be completed within the next 4 to 6 weeks, weather permitting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms Gillies.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our last question for tonight is from Gay Guest of Noble Park in relation to New Year's Eve illegal fireworks. Illegal fireworks were out of control on New Year's Eve, going solidly for 1 hour around midnight to 1 a.m. They lit up our skies and could be seen through treetops. Were there permits granted for any of these unannounced explosions or the two events this weekend around 9 p.m. in what looked like Wachter Reserve, Keysborough location? If not, why do we allow this to occur? If yes, where was the letterbox notification? Fireworks on days of intense heat can cause fires, as have been experienced in other municipalities. Why does CGD allow them to continue on hot days? While CGD condones fireworks displays at the expense of ratepayers, consequentially they will never be outlawed. Without formal notification, pet owners cannot prepare for an unexpected event, and animals have escaped their pounds, as reported through social media on both occasions. What will change the tide of how we think when someone says, "Look, Mum, no hands," because they have handled illegal fireworks? And what is the budget City of Greater Dandenong spend on fireworks for council-run events, and how can we better spend this money?
Thanks, Ms Gillies. I'll ask Mr Forster to respond, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Gay, for your question. I can confirm that there were no firework permits issued last weekend for anywhere in the municipality, nor on New Year's Eve outside of our own event in Dandenong Park. For obvious reasons, policing fireworks is a very difficult prospect for council and the police. Nevertheless, Council's Festivals and Events team are attempting to increase awareness of the firework permit requirements and the fireworks notification process through a range of avenues. These are including, but not limited to, providing information to all incoming queries in regards to event permits, providing information through existing e-newsletters and social media, and also actively checking in with event organisers who are applying for our event permits. As per Council's fireworks policy, a permit cannot be issued without it being linked to a public event, so private fireworks events are not permitted. Additionally, one of the conditions on fireworks permits, if one is granted, is that on days of total fire ban, fireworks cannot go ahead. Currently, Greater Dandenong Council has 2 fireworks shows on our events delivery annual calendar, the New Year's Eve event and also Springvale Snowfest. Feedback from both of these events indicates that attendees highly value the fireworks program at these events. Alternative display-based programs such as drone shows remain unaffordable alternatives, being much more expensive than our existing programming.
Thanks for that, Mr Forster. Moving on to item 4, Officers' Reports Part 2. 4.1 Policy and Strategy, 4.1.1 Quarterly Performance Report, October to December 2023. Can I have a mover, please?
Happy to move it.
Thank you, Councillor Tang. Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Trong. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my question to the relevant officer, the first one, I've got a few. I note on page 96 of 220 regarding the employee costs that the City of Great Dandenong reports for the quarter of $4.65 million variance or favourable variance with regards to the recruitment and retention of staff, and the fact that it basically states that we've delayed recruitment of staff within the organisation. Given that we've had some correspondence from residents here tonight about the recruitment of staff, particularly to do with climate change and amongst other directorates as well, what are we currently doing to deal with the, I suppose, employee shortfall with the current staff?
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Dark. I'll ask Mr Foley to respond, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I think I'd prefer to take that question on notice and come back with more specifics on that, Mayor.
Yep, sure. Thank you, Councillor Dark. What was the next question?
Thank you, Mayor. My next question on page 104 regarding the Thomas Carroll Pavilion, that there's a $327,000 unfavourable variance because we had to do some work under the DDA rectification works. My question to the relevant director is, given that the pavilion is relatively new, how have we ended up with a variance of $327,000 for some DDA works that should have been a part of the permit?
Thanks, Councillor Dark. We'll ask Mr Prosotsky to respond, please.
Thank you, through the Mayor. I'll too take that question on notice so I can bring back the specifics on those variations, because they're more than just the DDA compliance issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. That's concerned that there's a lot more issues than what isn't there on the currently new pavilion. My third question, this one could be taken on notice as well. I note on page 98 of 220 that the trade and other receivables is $95.55 million, consisting of $78.46 million in rate debtors, infringement debtors of $9.69 million, and general debtors of $7.4 million. Given that we're very rapidly approaching $100 million worth of debtors to the council, one, what are we doing to deal with it? And two, given it also itemises the net provision of doubtful debts, how much is the doubtful debt that the council's writing off? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Dark. We'll ask Mr Foley to respond, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Yes, I will take that one on notice in terms of the detail required.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any other councillor questions? Is there any opposition? As there is no opposition, the item is carried. We'll make sure we get those responses to you, Councillor Dark. Item 4.2, Other. 4.2.1, Draft Minutes of Arts Advisory Board Meeting, 12th of December 2023. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Leave me hanging. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Councillor Lim. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Thank you. Item 4.2, this would help. 4.2.2, Gender Equality Progress Report. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillors, can I get a seconder, please?
Seconded, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Thank you. Item 4.2.3, List of Registered Correspondence to Mayors and Councillors. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Trong.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Thank you. Item 4.2.4, Dandenong Wellbeing Centre Procurement Update Major Project. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor O'Reilly, sorry. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? The item is carried. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes,
Just
Councillor
from the
Mehmeti.
appropriate officer, can we just have a bit of a what's going to happen from here, just so people in our community can understand that what's happening from here, when we think, once we get tenders in, and when will another report come back to council, just to keep our community informed?
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. We'll just ask Mr Mani Vasagasam to just have some clarification on that for us, please.
Through you, Mayor. So this report is to go out to tender procurement for our head contract. So this will mark a test, and then we'll have tender prices. So once we've gone through the assessment process, we'll bring back the report to the council for the final awarding of that contract. So we go through that process, and the timing may be around July or August. We'll come back to the council for a final adoption.
Thanks very much for that clarification. Any other questions or comments? No? Fabulous. We'll move on to item 5, which is notices of motion. There are no notices of motion. Item 6, reports from councillors, delegated members and councillor questions. I'll start with you, Councillor Tan.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to say Happy New Year, Happy Lunar New Year to everyone celebrating. Which was on over the weekend, which is on the 10th. So this year is the Year of the Dragon, Shinin Kuala. So a highlight for this event, we did the New Year celebration, which is on the 4th of Feb. So that's hosted by the SABA, which is the Springvale Asian Business Association. So we've got on the day it was like 38, 39 degrees. It's humid, but obviously a lot of people turn up. I'm not too sure about the quantity or how many people attended. Yeah, so over, I think, a few thousand, I guess. Yeah, on a day, so which is, it's a great day. So the Premier also attended, and a few local MPs and federal as well. So great work to Sabah, and congratulations. My question for today, the first one, this is regarding to Noble Park Activity Centre. Through you, Mayor, so questions to do with the deep cleaning on the footpath. Recently, over Christmas and that as well. So I mean, it's a lot of rubbish, and so I just want to find out. I know to do with the budget cut, so just want to confirm with the service how often are we doing the deep cleaning at the moment through the activity centre. Thanks.
Yep, we're just deep clean. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll ask Mr. Manivasagasan to respond, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. So I will take that question on notice and I'll check with my team and then I'll come back to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Tan?
Second question regarding to grass growing. Obviously, I do got a few complaints from residents. So mainly it's on the Wakens place, so there's no one living there. So mainly on the nature strip. So usually when people put a complaint through, then it goes through to council. But I just want to know what's our process looking through all these vacant places, the resident that doesn't live there, and then we only do it when someone put a complaint through. So what is council doing to make sure that our nature strip is clean?
Thanks, Councillor Tan. We'll just ask Mr. Prosotsky to answer that if you can.
I'm sorry, I don't
Thank
know if
you.
my hearing's not that great, but I actually didn't pick up what the question was. I'm sorry. Can
Okay.
you repeat it?
Sure. Yep. Thanks.
Can you hear me
Councillor
better?
Tan.
It's to do with nature strip, the grass growing on a nature strip on the vacant place. Like obviously it's like some houses, no one living there, obviously, and we only get complaints through council if the neighbour put a complaint through. So what is council doing at the moment with those vacant properties? Okay, thank you.
Thanks. That is your
Yep,
department.
yep.
So
Thank
fantastic.
you through the media. Thank you for clarifying the question.
Thank you.
The maintenance of nature strips normally rests in the property owner, and we trust that they will do that to keep their neighbourhood, tidy and neat looking. If there is a vacant property, we will only intervene if the grass becomes a hazard, whether it be a fire hazard or some other hazard that might be obstructing sight distance or something like that from a road safety perspective. Often that means that we'll probably only attend to the site twice a year for when the grass gets high enough. Otherwise, it is up to the property owner to look after that, part of their nature strip to help assist council to maintain a tidy environment for their neighbourhood.
Thanks.
Yes, but the problem is if no one checking it, like if the property owner's not, I don't know, probably overseas somewhere, no one's going to turn up. So mainly my concern, usually in my ward, I mean, people, live next door. They usually go around, put a complaint through, but I'm just talking about in our service, if we're doing, anything around the area, can someone have a look into any vacant property, which is that's no one living there, make sure that the grass is at least, because it's difficult when the grass is growing on a footpath, it's not safe for people. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Prosotsky.
Sorry. Thank you. Yes, should residents identify a location, we're more than happy for them to report it to us, and then they can go out and investigate and see whether or not, first of all, we can try to make contact with the property owner, or if we can undertake action ourselves if it's easy and efficient enough to do so. So if there's any particular locations, please get the residents to forward it through to us so we can attend the site. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tan? Yep. I've had this issue previously, and if you get the residents to use SnapSend Solve, that's usually the best way moving forward, and then that kind of moves it up through our department so that they can follow up with the owners and issue infringements or reminders, whatever it may be. So I've actually had the same issue in my ward, and we've used SnapSend Solve, and it's been very, very efficient. It might take a little bit longer than what it would if the resident was actually living in the house or a tenant, but I have found that to be really efficient. Sorry, do you want to use your mic?
Only if someone put a complaint through, but if they don't do it, then no one's going to do anything. So that's the issue.
Yeah, that's probably an ongoing issue everywhere for lots of things. But yeah, any further questions, Councillor Tan?
All for tonight,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, just bouncing off what Councillor Tan said, I've also raised, it's on page 138 of the agenda, regarding a property in my ward in Piccadilly Crescent to do with overgrown grass and a derelict house that's been vacant for quite some time. I know I raised this with Mr Mullen, who unfortunately is now on leave at the moment. If I could please just follow up from, I believe it falls under local laws, which is Mr Forster, to do with the complaint and compliance of homes and grasses growing. If we could please just find out what the process is, because I know with industrial properties, if we have overgrown grass, and we often receive a letter saying it needs to be slashed or cut down within X days. However, certainly at the moment, there's a lot of residential properties that seem to be coming up quite regularly as well. If we could find out what local laws, I suppose, task is, how many they've got, and what the action plan is.
Sure, thank you. Mr Forster, if you could
Thank you,
respond.
Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Dark, for your question. Yes, we are aware of the particular case you referenced at 23 Piccadilly Crescent. I understand that Council's local laws officers have investigated that particular case and determined that in that specific instance, none of the local laws that we can compel a landowner to rectify the situation apply in this case. Having said that, we are aware that that's a long-term vacancy. One of the things that local laws have endeavoured to do is pass on social housing opportunities whereby organisations like Launch Housing might be interested in taking over a property under lease in order to use it for social housing, but bearing in mind that that is for at the landowner's discretion, so we don't have any control over whether they take that opportunity up. As for how many across the municipality we're currently dealing with in this case, I would need to take that bit on notice and get back to you with the specific numbers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr Forster. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, my next question actually is to Mr Forster as well, I suppose. I had a phone call from a resident. She's 89 years old and lives in Patching Avenue in Noble Park. And in Patching Avenue, there's a house which has been an issue for as long as I've been on council, so 7 odd years. And the property is, I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. It is now stocked higher and higher and higher to the point where the rubbish on site exceeds the height of the fence. The whole house cannot be seen from the front of the street. It runs all the way to the back fence. And the neighbours on either side are now getting concerned because, one, there seems to be some petrochemical tanks or things like that are being kept there as well. But two is that there's now being things mounted on the fence to keep the fence from falling over on the neighbour's property, and it's now getting to a point where it's breaching their quiet enjoyment. They've been speaking to council for many, many years with no action. But now, being that I attended there on the weekend and the seriousness of what this site looks like, if we could please have somebody follow up with exactly where things are at, if there is legal action or two to make some sort of application ASAP.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Forster.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And Councillor Dark, yes, absolutely, we're happy to follow up and find out what the status of that particular case is and get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My next question is regarding Progress Street, Dandenong South, number 48, and it's a complex of factories on the right-hand side, right before you get to the railway line. I've received a couple of emails, which I'll forward through as well, to do with the breakdown of the curb and channel within the premises and on the street as well. There's a gym that is located within the complex. The gym, from the emails I've got back from council officers, is not registered. There's no active planning permit in place. And from that, there's been a significant amount of people that gather on a weekend to attend class there, parking over the curb and channel, and it's got to the point where it's basically being reduced down to rubble at quite a rapid pace. One, if we could please look at what the update is with the gym, and two, if we could please have somebody from engineering have a look at the state of the curb and channel in Progress Street, that would be great.
Thanks, Councillor Dark. We'll get Mr Psotsky to respond if you could, please.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Dark. With regards to the curb and channel, absolutely, we can get our work services officers to go out and investigate. With regards to the use of the facility, that was something that we'll have to go under Mark's there under planning compliance to ensure that it's the appropriate permits are in place and so forth. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Dark. So we'll get both of them to respond to you regarding that question.
Thank you. My final question for this evening. I attended the Ross Reserve Pavilion for the Springvale City's relaunch night of the new soccer club and the new executive down there. There was a very strong smell, and I know that at the same night the sports and recreation team attended as well, of a discharged sewer smell, and it was running through the whole pavilion along the front and the back, and it was quite nauseous to people who were trying to watch a soccer match. It had been noted, apparently the council had been looking at exactly how the sewer leak had been, or how the sewer basically smell was coming up through the new pavilion. But it's now happened a couple of times, and it's become quite concerning for the club regarding, I suppose, the amenity of the area as well. If we could please have a look at that.
Thank you, Councillor Dark. Mr Psotsky, if you could respond, please.
Thank you, and through the Mayor. Yes, we are aware of that issue. It appears to be somewhat transient. Sometimes when we investigate, there is no smell. Sometimes it's located in only certain rooms and not others. Councils, contracting plumbers are out there this week investigating it, trying to track it down so we can resolve the problem once and for all. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Councillor Dark.
Thank you, Mayor. Just finally, I believe this is the last meeting of Mr. Tricozzi. Sorry, forgive me. I've tried. And particularly given the work he's done as a chief engineer over the last few weeks, and I've been that councillor late at night that's replaced former Councillor Brown sending emails, trying to get things chased up with, as I managed to remember right when I'm about to go to sleep. But his response and running the department has been second to none, so thank you very, very much. And last but not least, I know that Dandenong Council meetings sometimes are entertaining, for the most part boring, but there are a couple of people I did get notified of watching via webcast today. To the mum, Natalie, and the daughter, Gemma, I hope this has been a riveting council meeting for you.
Thanks, Councillor Dark. Well, you certainly made it more interesting just then. And yes, I agree with that. So thank you, Mr. Prosochki, for all of your work in the interim role. It's been really incredible working with you. Councillor O'Reilly, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I've got a question without notice to the director that's in charge of cat control. I've had a resident contact me, said that they're extremely frustrated. I've had 5 feline invaders swagger onto their property, each with the confidence of a gang embarking on a clandestine mission. So they're being subjected to a cat invasion. The cats don't care. The cats seem to might have read our website regarding cat control, which is quite unclear on, in my opinion, is somewhat unclear on how they will be caught. And that may be attributable, or that their confidence may be attributable to that, Mayor. So this resident's contacted council and been told that council doesn't provide a cat catching service. Not too sure that council ever did that, but this is going to my questions just to clarify what we're doing as far as cat control. I know this is of interest to yourself, Mayor. You may have been subjected to swaggering cats at some stage yourself. I've got a few questions on it. Given that we're going to be introducing a cat curfew 10th of April this year, how is the plan for that going? Things like, I've sent an email to the website address but haven't received any response. Currently, to hire a cat trap, resident has to pay a refundable deposit of not $100, Councillor Tan, but $164.50. So, and that is a deposit. So that goes to, like, one of my questions is, like, why is that set at that level? Have we had problems with people taking cat traps and not returning them? Because it is, although it is refundable, it is quite high. And like, if residents have cats on their property, right, is that their only option? Like, they then have to, like, make time to go to the council office. I think it's only Springvale office to get a cat trap and all that sort of thing. So, can they snap, send, solve a cat? Like, to get an officer to come round, what evidence do they need? I understand that, we don't want to send cat napping officers around, hiding around the corner waiting for a cat to enter someone's property where they're not supposed to as well. So also needs to be efficient as well. But I'd also like some stats on, the number of cat traps that have been hired with that sort of fairly high rate of $164.50, and just how it all goes in general. So I'd appreciate that information in due course. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. This meeting seems to be getting more interesting by the minute, so thank you for your contribution. We'll get... I'm glad somebody got it. And I'll get Mr. Forster to answer parts of this if he can, and I'm sure the rest will be taken on notice and sent through. And personal joke between me and my kids if they're watching, meow. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, O'Reilly, for your question. I am aware that we, within our local laws department, do undertake a significant amount of control measures around cats throughout the year. I've just had a bit of a look at some statistics, and it seems that we remove between 500 and 700 cats per year from the municipality. 75% of them are not owned or are deemed feral. So we do have a system in place, as you've highlighted, where local residents can pay a deposit and get access to a cat trap in order to trap cats that are going onto their property. So that's another service that can be availed. We will need to look into why the price is at $164.50 and get back to you on that portion of it. But that's about all the information I'm able to provide at this present time, short of anything Ms Gillies would want to add.
Thanks, Mr. Forster. We'll get Ms Gillies to...
I will also just add to that, if I can. We are actually currently putting together the formal education information around the cat curfew that was endorsed by Council last year. So that will involve quite a comprehensive campaign leading up to that 10th of April commencement date in terms of enforcement. I am also aware, it would be in the last 3 months, there's been a national shortage on cat vaccinations, which obviously has an impact in terms of once you capture, I never knew I needed to know this, but once you capture the cat, obviously taking them to the facilities that we then do, given that there has been a shortage of vaccines, there has actually been not the ability to take as many cats as we otherwise would. But my understanding is that vaccination shortage is starting to ease off, so the sorts of numbers that Mr Foster just mentioned will become relevant once more.
Thanks, Ms Gillies. Any further questions or comments? Thank you. On fire tonight, Councillor O'Reilly. Thank you. Very entertaining. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Lim, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone, and also Happy Lunar New Year. And to me, just try to be as quick as possible, because I don't have any question anymore because I already asked at the CBS. On a Thursday, the 25th, just before Australia Day, I had a chance to meet a University of Melbourne student. They almost their final year of architect and engineering. The reason I met them at what we call Ubuntu Garden, to design for our council just across the road, they're really keen to hear from me about how we're going to shape Springwell. Therefore, they make appointment to see me on 25th, and we had a good discussion. They want to do everything voluntary, just want to be part of our council. That's a great discussion for that day. And Friday, Australia Day, a very busy day for me. It's been attended Australian ceremony, after that Australian Day award presentation, after that a drum theatre, after that run quickly to RSL Noble Park flag raising ceremony. And the next one after that I have to go to Australian Vietnamese art and culture at Springvale Multicultural Place. And the next one I had to go to Springvale Multicultural, to grand opening of Bowl Juice Shop, Springvale Road. Please support our local economy. That's a great young Afghan that opened that sort of juice shop. Mayor attended as well before me. And secondly, so many other new shops in Springvale as well that I haven't had a chance to attend their grand opening yet. They asked me to be part of it. I said delay for a little while because I'm very busy. And on Wednesday, the 31st also, I had a chance to go to VMA, TED lunch on. It means that Vietnamese New Year, lunch on with the Premier Honorable Jacinta Allen and also Minister of Multicultural and so many Member of Parliament as well and so many other distinguished guests. And on Thursday, but I forgot to remind her again about our former Premier Daniel Andrew promised us for Springvale. On Thursday, the 1st of February, I had a chat with our council officer, with the mayor as well. We had a good interview with the Age newspaper at Springvale Community Hub, also at Springvale Activity Center. And also in the afternoon, we had a bit of, in the evening, we attended what we call Thai Australian Chamber of Commerce. We meet Thai ambassador and also from Canberra and also Honorable Consul General Tessa Sullivan, Italian Vice Consul, and so on and so on. It's a great catch-up and great exchange of idea how to improve each other, how to have connection between the 2 or 3 countries, whatever. On the Friday the 2nd of February, I had a chance to attend Sri Lanka Independence Day flag raising ceremony as well in Harmony Square. On Saturday the 3rd, I attended Cambodian Chinese Friendship Association to celebrate Australia Day and also Lunar New Year as well, the Year of the Dragon, because the Chinese very passionate and very always believe in dragon all the time. On Sunday the 4th, we had a very busy day about Sabah, organized with our partnership with us to organize Lunar New Year. All our council officers turned up a lot. And plus even Premier of Victoria as well. On Monday, the 5th, I was meeting with Mr. Philip Abraham, representative of VKCC. He wanted to catch up with me at our council to discuss with so many things and with other committee members as well. On the next day, Tuesday, I had a meeting again with Honorable Consul Kingdom of Thailand, Tessa Sullivan again on Wednesday, Monash Health Board member meeting. I had a good discussion at the board member as a part of our Southeast. We have to be part of it. We have to work hard on that. The whole point is I advocate very strongly to get robotic surgery. To compare to other private hospitals, we don't have one. That's the best one, honestly, in non-invasive and very short stay in hospital as well. And not just that, I suggest to the board member to create another subcommittee we call Multicultural Monash Health Foundation, just to let the multicultural community to come on board to raise funds for Monash children, to Monash Health as well, because we have big 9 hospitals, all the modern hospitals in the world, like Heart Hospital, like Monash Children's Hospital, and so on and so on. And on Thursday, I had a meeting as usual with Springvale Community Hub, committee meeting. It means that we try to work very hard. All the members are very passionate regarding to how to promote our Springvale Community Hub. The last 3 years, we've been doing very well, but we want even better by trying to promote, by to bring people in to come to our hub. And the most important, our library, world-class library. Not just that, we try to hide every room, every, spaces that we have, and especially we have a lot of sport facilities on. That's the best one. I tend to ask our tourists from overseas to come to visit, very frequently from Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand, and China. And Sunday the 11th, I attended Chinese New Year again at the Chief Association of Victoria, and after that attended another one, Chinese New Year at Temple Meo Kwan Am. And this one I had a long talk with one lady, and they're really passionate for me to form an organization. Asked me what I think about. I said, the best thing to organization to serve multicultural community in our city. And she's very happy with my idea. Just I haven't come up with the idea yet, but I said probably we have by the name of Multicultural Community Support Group. And she's very happy with that. I'm going to have another meeting with other members that are very passionate about that. The whole point is serve multicultural community, bring every profession that qualified in like law and pharmacists and doctors and all sorts, anything that they can think of, social worker, whatever, to come to work for free, like volunteer, to serve every community in our city, especially like tax return or any other reason, that we want to help them. And the next one, I already tried to form another club as well. We call Dandenong, Greater Dandenong Multicultural Club as well, because we have 158 nationality. Just one nationality to come on board. We have 158 members already. From that, we can bring all the young ones to help them, to guide them, to educate them, to become a proper, or to have profession, or to become a professional people, or they can find a job, or they can teach them how to go to TAFE college. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Councillor Lim. Did you want the question answered from that last part of your question, or you were just mentioning your event, that what was discussed, or did you have a question in that last part?
The question is that probably Daniel is going to give me later on, Daniel, about regarding to about Springvale lighting or signage and so on,
Okay.
traffic flow. Yeah, he's going to give me later.
Yeah,
on.
right.
I
Yeah.
asked him that CBS already. Yeah.
So, yep. no
Thank you
worries.
for that.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks very much
yeah.
for that. Councillor Trong.
Thank you, Mayor. With the Mayor and Deputy Mayor and other councillors and also MPs, I attend the Australian Day celebration. And I also attend the Australian Day celebration with organized by the Australian Vietnamese Art Group at the Multicultural Square in Springvale. And other days, with the Mayor and Deputy Mayor and also other councillors and other MPs, I attend the opening Lunar New Year celebration with organized by the Saba at Springvale. And at the same day, I attend the SAMVAC AGM at the Burden Park at Springvale South. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trong. Councillor Mehmeti, please. Councillor.
Thank you, Mayor. As nearly all the councillors attended the Australia Day Awards and Citizenship Ceremony, which was a lovely event. Unfortunately, it wasn't open to the public. Unfortunately, I received many, many calls saying, when is council going to get back to pre-COVID entertainment at Dandenong Park to celebrate Australia Day? Unfortunately, we haven't made that adjustment since COVID. The last one I think we had at Dandenong Park in 2019, I think we had over 15,000 people in attendance. Our community is crying out loud to wanting to celebrate Australia Day. Will this council take that on board, and will we be celebrating Australia Day at Dandenong Park as we have done on many, many occasions pre-COVID?
Thanks, Councillor Mehmeti. We'll get Ms Gillies to answer that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. Yes, as we discussed last year when we were looking at the event planning for this current year, we determined that we would not be doing a public event this January, but we would review it in terms of January 26th, 2025. So that is certainly still the plan.
Thanks, Ms Gillies. Councillor Mehmeti.
Sorry, just to clarify, 25-26 or 24-25?
For 25, 26th of January 2025, yes.
Thank you, because I don't think they want to wait for another 2 years. Anyway, I also attended the Lunar New Year Festival in Springvale, which is a fantastic event and has been going on for over 3 decades now. I'd like to congratulate Saba and their president, Daniel Chang, and their committee for another successful event. And to our community that celebrated New Year, Xin Yin Kwai Le, Gung Hei Fat Choi, and Chuk Mung Namoy. Is that right? That's Cambodian. I think that's for not for another few more months. So you're getting ahead of yourself there, Councillor Trung. Also, Madam Mayor, I would like to, our parks team have done a fantastic job with Dandenong Park. And as I drive past every day, I see the flowers, the blooms, magnificent. So if we can pass on our thanks to our parks team, and even Lonsdale Street, driving through, they always look beautiful. And I think all the grass has been cut now around the city. I think everybody's now stopped complaining. So I think big congratulations to our parks team. And sometimes when you have rain and then it's hot and then the grass grows quicker, and I think they've been patient with us. And just a big thank you. And I know it's been a big year for them, but driving past the park, it's beautiful. Driving down Lonsdale Street, it's beautiful. So well done, and thank you to our parks team. Just a few complaints now. On the corner of Walker Street and Thomas Street, we've been having some works on the road there, but also on the footpath. I've been notified that the footpath is very uneven, and if we can just have council officers to inspect that, and if they can get back to me and the council on when we're going to repair those footpaths permanently. It's on the corner of Walker and Thomas Street.
Thanks, Councillor Mehmeti. We'll ask, Mr Prosotsky to respond, please. Thanks.
Thank you, and through the Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti, for your question. The works that are occurring or have been occurring recently on Thomas Street, near Walker Street, are works undertaken by Melbourne Water, their sewage and main water works. The plans for finishing the footpath are subject to future financial budgets, but if they've impacted footpaths, they have to have a requirement to repair. We'll undertake our works investigations to ensure that they're still keeping a safe surface during these works. And then at the end, we'll make sure they at least restore it to the condition it was previously. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, a couple of the residents actually complained to me, so they're looking for a response. So if you can get me some sort of response so I can pass on to our residents. Just another update on the veranda at George Andrews Reserve. Unfortunately, they've been lucky to get grants and getting something built at George Andrews Reserve, but unfortunately, like last year with their kitchen, it took 6 months longer than it was meant to, and now the veranda is actually causing them trouble. Their season started on Saturday, and it looks like it's going to be a while off before that veranda is finished. Can we have an update on the construction of the veranda at George Andrews Reserve, please?
Thanks, Councillor Mehmeti. We'll get Mr Prosotsky to respond as well. Thanks.
Yes, thank you through the Mayor. With regards to the works at the veranda, as you be aware, we had a meeting with the club. Geez, time has no meaning anymore. Was it late last year or early this year?
November.
We discussed making accessibility to the canteen during the start of the season because the works have been delayed. We'll continue to try to work with the club to make sure they do have access to their canteen during the works. Unfortunately, it was delayed due to latent ground conditions, which we can't help. We have to just work through them. And I'll make sure we get you a written response with regards to an estimated timeframe for completing the works.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Lastly, we discussed the grass on the nature strip. I put in a request probably about 3 months ago about a nature strip at Norman Court in Dandenong. It's probably about 50 centimetres, probably higher than my knees, probably up to my thighs. I've never seen grass that long and thick on a nature strip, but the actual property behind where that nature strip sits is perfectly mowed. I just think that the residents that live in that court don't want to cut their nature strip as it doesn't belong to them. I've heard this story many times, but I'm not sure what council is doing about it because it's very untidy and we need to get on top of it, whether we cut it or the resident needs to cut it. I think it's an eyesore for the residents that live in Norman Court, Dandenong.
Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti. We'll get Mr Forster to respond if he could, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Mehmeti, for your question. I will look into that. So it was Norman Court in Dandenong, and there's a history with this. So it was 3 months ago that you reported it? Okay, so we should have a history. I'll gather that information together and get in touch.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mr Forster. Is that all from you? Thanks, Councillor Mehmeti. I'll be tabling my events in the minutes so that we can get out of here. Ms Gillies, I believe you'll take on the questions on notice from last meeting?
Yes, Madam Mayor,
sense?
there's no outstanding questions.
Thank you. Thanks. That was clear as mud. Okay, so we'll move on to item 7, which is urgent business. There is no urgent business, but in closing, I'd just like to say that we are very much looking forward to welcoming our CEO, Jackie Weatherall, back into the office as of tomorrow. So we are very grateful to Ms Gillies, who's done an incredible job as acting CEO. So thank you so much for doing that. And we are closing of business item 8 at 8:14 p.m. Thank you very much and good night. Stay safe, everyone.